Hello, everybody. I know it's been a little while, maybe a couple weeks, since I've done a video, but as I'm sure you already know, the energies are pretty serious right now. Shit's getting real. So I only make videos when I'm inspired to do so, when my higher self kind of nudges me to do so. And I won't force anything. If my YouTube channel goes ghost for a little bit, then it goes ghost for a little bit. And that's okay because it means there's other people out there giving messages, and at the same time when other people need that break, that's where the slots are filled in. So keep an open mind and always be open to anything, any type of information or videos that may pop up on your YouTube or anything like that. Because you're not always going to get the same messages from the same people. That's great to resonate with people, but it's also good to be open to learn. Be open to learn from other sources. You're going to resonate with some people for maybe a certain amount of time. And then one day you'll watch one of their videos and you won't really resonate with them anymore. And that's okay. It's just because you're growing. And it's maybe the information they're sharing, you've already mastered that. So you're moving on to the next phase. You're moving on to something that will help you along your path in a more speedy way. But it's not even about speed. Everyone's ascending. Everyone is ascending. And if you can just be a dot, as Phil Good says a lot of times, like that is his main message that he's been getting out there, is just be a dot. Don't be so scheduled. You can't use your intuition unless you are in the moment. Like if you're trying to like schedule things out in advance, it's very difficult to use your intuition because on a moment to moment basis, anything can change and you have to be open to that. That's why expectations sometimes can really, really hold us back in relationships, in our life, in general. Because we have this expectation of how our week's going to look. We have expectations of how our relationship should look. We have these expectations of when we're going to have kids one day, or that we'll never get divorced, or all these expectations, all these rules that we put on ourselves, and we put ourselves into a box and we limit ourselves. As soon as you start putting expectations on things, you limit yourself to the potential, all those potentials out there. So every situation, you are able to choose a different perception. You're able to choose a different path. And there's an infinite amount of perceptions and paths you can choose based off of any situation. So, but if you have expectations, you immediately cut off all these potentials. You don't even try to perceive the situation in a different way because you're so used to this program that says that you only get married once, this programming that says you have to work a job that, you're guaranteed your paycheck on this day. And that is, you're in shackles. You're in shackles because it's that security. You're afraid to take a leap of faith. You're afraid to trust your intuition. All this scheduled shit is just because it's fear. It's fear. Now for me, it might seem like I'm scheduled. I'm a single mom of 4, so I have to somewhat be scheduled. And what I mean by scheduled is not at 8 a.m. I'm going to do this, at 10 a.m. I'm going to do this, and everything is like planned out. It's not like that. My version of scheduled is I always do a lot of the same things. Go to the gym. I'll spend a lot of time in the kitchen prepping juice and different meals and stuff like that. I always spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Whatever it is, like, so I do a lot of the same things, but I only do them when my intuition tells me to do them. So if I go to the store and I buy all my stuff to juice and I get home and my intuition is telling me not to juice, I don't force myself to juice. Because a lot of times for me, like I bust out a lot of juice in bulk. So it's an hour affair every time I juice in the kitchen. And so if all of a sudden I'm feeling a little drained or my intuition's taking me elsewhere, then I'll step away from it. I'll put the stuff in the fridge and I'll step away from it. I trust that. Where old Kelsey would have been like, no, we got to get this done. So I'm the type of person that does not slow down. Does not slow down at all. Like, what is the next thing I can do? I'm thinking about the next thing I can do and the next thing I can do. And it works to my advantage and it used to work to my disadvantage because I would be scheduled. I had little agenda books that were so detailed, it would blow your mind. But now I'm still getting things done, but it's like so easy to manifest now because I'm getting things done, but my intuition is leading the way instead of my ego. So that was so important to share because a lot of people that I see are still stuck in that program, that scheduled program, and it's a security thing. Staying somewhere in a relationship you're not supposed to be in, or in a job you shouldn't be in. Your intuition keeps nudging you to not be there, but you're still there because it's a security thing. It just is part of the process, especially when you first start ascending, when you first become conscious of yourself ascending. So, okay, so we've all been ascending all along, but we weren't always conscious that we were ascending. So in 2012, I started becoming health conscious, but I still wasn't conscious of the whole consciousness stuff. You know what I'm saying? I knew what law of attraction was, but I didn't really know how to apply it. I didn't really know what vibration was. I didn't really know what, quantum physics and all that kind of stuff was. So I was ascending, but I wasn't conscious of it. I didn't become conscious of my ascension until a little over 2 years ago. And one of my best friends actually put me on to Abraham Hicks, which is a perfect person to listen to if you're just starting out, because it's a beautiful way to kind of easily, gradually nudge you into the spirituality, new age movement. And it's very gentle. It's gentle on your mind. It doesn't start out with like all of the deep subjects, And so I always start people there. But don't get stuck there, because then you'll get caught into like spiritual bypassing and stuff, like pasting a smile on your face when you need to do the shadow work. So appreciate what a lot of these spiritual teachers have to offer, but no one is your guru. No one is your guru, because anyone who you're led to will incrementally plant seeds where they need to be planted. And then I love Abraham, but I just don't resonate with her that much anymore in terms of wanting to listen to her all the time, because she was for a different phase in my ascension journey. Once in a while, like listen to her rampages just to amp myself up, and I freaking love her. I think she's amazing. But there's a lot of other people that I've also fallen in love with along the way, but I've never assigned guru status to anybody. Nobody is a guru. That's not what we're here for. We're all here as a cohesive unit. Who is the guru? All of us, because we're one, all together. You are your own guru. Nobody is a guru. And that's what I have to put out there, because that's kind of like a new earth. There are no gurus. Like a lot of, when spirituality first started coming alive, like 60s, 70s and all that, and you were hearing more about it and stuff, it was like this merge from like trying to come out of religion, but still kind of having that religion programming. So it was very easy to create this movement where you weren't preaching guru, but it's kind of what happened. There were kind of some gurus back then, and that was what the movement was about, but not the new age movement, not new earth. There is none of that. We are all one. And anybody that you resonate with is who you should listen to in that given moment. And you're not always going to resonate with the same person. I've had people who have like subscribed to their YouTube channel. I resonate with them for like maybe a couple videos, and then I unsubscribe because I wasn't resonating with like what they continue to put out, and that's okay. And I send them love, and I would never like bash them on something that they talk about that I didn't resonate with. I would just say to each their own and move on. Like, I hope to goodness that nobody watching my videos is ever out there, and I don't think that any of you are, because most people who resonate with me aren't out there, putting negative comments out on any spiritual person's YouTube. Whether you don't resonate with it or not, just move on. Because if you acknowledge it, you'll bring more of it into your life. Thankfully, I haven't really had much issues with that, because I really just don't pay any of that shit attention. Like, immediately will get deleted. Excuse me. My kids gave me this like little tickle in my throat chakra. Anyways, Gosh, I really, really, really have had a ton of downloads in terms of the twin flame community in the past few days. And I'm so reluctant to like post videos on twin flames because I can't stand labels. and I'd rather just say conscious relationships. But the reason I have to say twin flame is because we have to kind of use that term as a tool to define what this phenomena is, okay? Which actually is a really big experiment. Basically, if you're watching this video, you probably know what it means. If not, you might want to click off now because this message is for twin flames in union and out of union, the main collective of twin flames who know what conscious relationships are about, or are interested, or are already immersed in the topic and are drawn and resonate with the topic. So what's coming up right now is that if both people are already in union, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll never have a time where you're not together. Because sometimes if one person has healed to a certain degree, excuse me, and another person hasn't healed to that same degree, it can cause them to be on two different vibrations, basically. And so what our programs tell us, our old programs about relationships tell us, is that we need to fight through this together. We need to stay together and fight through this. But what New Earth is telling us is that we need to separate and go within. Okay? So whether you are in union or in separation and somebody needs to do work, or maybe it's not even you, maybe it's your twin, and they need to do work and they need to be alone, you have to create that space. You have to love them enough to create that space, because sometimes we distract each other. Sometimes we don't spend enough time by ourselves. Sometimes we don't spend enough time doing the work. And the reason the universe will bring you into union and then you will separate again is because love is so powerful. Love can change people like nothing else. Love is the highest level of vibration, frequency that you could be on. So when you come together and you experience that bliss, that union, and then it brings up everything you need to purge, and somebody's doing the work and then other person's not doing the work. It's not even, maybe they are doing the work, but there's just something they can't release. You got to create that space. And don't make it feel like some breakup or something dramatic. No. And if you don't create that space and you stay in union and this other person needs that space, the universe will have you two in either a toxic relationship, or they will have you vibrate right out of each other's space. There is a program in our minds a lot of times where we see our relationship, how we want our relationship to be in a certain way. It's an expectation. It's an expectation for first you get married, then you have kids, or first you go to college. It's all these expectations. And it's very difficult to come into a conscious relationship, whether that is with your twin, whether that is with one of your best friends who happens to be conscious. I'm talking about conscious relationships, people who are conscious of spirituality and their ascension. Awake, people who are awake, these relationships. Sometimes you have to create space to let people grow. We become very attached to each other. And it's easy to become attached when you have that heart connection. You are always connected, even in separation. We cannot be attached to each other in the 3D, because that means we still are holding on to some type of program. And everybody is different. Every situation is different. We can't just put each other into a box. I'm sure there's some twins that come together and it's amazing because they both have purged so much that they're finally to that stage where it's heaven on earth. Like, we've already purged so much. There's just little incremental stuff along the way. There's very few people who are actually anchored in 5D. Most people are floating in 4D somewhere on this ascension journey, the awake people. Because it takes a lot to purge everything. It takes time. And, the forerunners, people who are like conscious of their awakening from 2012 and before is what I would say. Those forerunners, they had a lot of time to heal and purge and raise their vibration and evolve and come into where they're at now. People awakening now are being like pushed through it. There is not a lot of time. You have to do the work. And thank goodness for the internet, because there is no coincidence that the internet is on and popping right now. And we have infinite access to information and people like us to resonate with and to help us through our ascension. There is no coincidence there, because the universe knew that this is when everyone knew, the minds knew, like we all knew this is the time where all these energy shifts are going to happen and people are going to start waking up. So we need access to tools so we can wake up in a more speedier way. And those tools are here. So if you click on a video and they're giving you a message, pay attention, especially if you were in a good space when you came across this video. That means your intuition is nudging you in that direction, and whatever that person has to say might apply to you and might help you along the way. If you follow your intuition, you will never, ever really need to seek anyone else out to give you some, chakra clearing or past life regression or anything. Listen, when I first come into my spiritual awakening, newly divorced, single mom of 4, I was on a budget. Your girl was online on YouTube doing past life regressions, finding free shit online and figuring it out. It's the information and the access to the tools is out there, and your intuition will lead you to it. It will. It will. So there really is no excuse. You have, I don't like saying you have to, but if you want to ascend, if you want to flow with the universe and ascend in a smooth way, then follow your intuition, drop the expectations, drop the schedules, drop the fear of taking that leap and making big steps in your life. And sometimes that means separating from your twin or your best friend because they need space to heal or you need space to heal. If shit starts seeming like it's getting toxic and you're getting triggered left and right, that is a sign to separate, to go within. You go within, give them the opportunity to go within. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Hopefully you're open and communicative to the point where you can say, look, my higher self is kind of nudging me in this direction. This is why I think maybe you, whatever you're suggesting can help them come to a realization as to why they need some space too. Nothing is coincidence. When you get triggered, look at it. Look at it. Examine it. Ask your higher self, what's going on? Help me through this. You have to have open communication with your higher self, your guides, and your angels. Can we just get past the whole weirdness? I understand it seems weird in the beginning, but you just have to take the leap of faith and jump in. A lot of us have experienced religion earlier in life. It wasn't that hard to pray, was it? It's very similar. Same concept. Have a little faith and have a conversation. And you'd be surprised what comes to you. And follow your intuition. Your intuition is guiding you. There's signs everywhere. You just have to open your eyes and release expectations. Expectations are for fear-based minds. And I know it's not easy. We're all put through the ringer. And it's how we choose to perceive each and every moment. It's how we choose to perceive the curveballs that life throws us. Because a lot of times we just want to put a Band-Aid over the wound. We see a trigger, just put a Band-Aid over it, hide it so nobody can see it. I don't want to see it either. But the wound is still there, and if you don't take the Band-Aid off and disinfect it and clean it, it's going to get infected and it's going to spread. It's toxic energy. So let's take our Band-Aids off. Let's rip the fear out of our lives, literally, and not be afraid to face our shadow side and do some cleansing and clearing. Just ask for help. Ask your guides and angels for help. They will help you. They literally were like, here's a video of light language clearing. Speaking of light language, speaking of YouTube, I'm going to put a list below of all my favorite YouTubers, what they specialize in. And, and I hope you guys check that out, because I have someone for like every category. I have stuff for beginners, a list. Everybody in my list touches pretty much everything. And the reason I said speaking of light language is because there's these two twins. Oh, I can't remember. I'll list it below, but I can't remember their names. Heidi and something else. And they do light language activation stuff. And let me tell you something. I can't even tell you which activation it was, but I resonate with them so much. They do energy updates and they channel messages. I think from the Pleiadians. I can't remember exactly. I'm almost positive it is. And they do light language, and then they do the visual written light language. I got triggered so bad one day. I mean, this was during one of those huge energy shifts, okay? A few weeks ago. All this anger was coming up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this must be like collective energy, because this is just, I don't even know where it would have come from in my life, but it could have been a past life, but I really felt like it was collective energy. And I asked my guides, I was like, please help me with this, because I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what angle to clear it. Like, what angle should I come at it with? And I was so happy, because they gave me the most smoothest way to clear it. And they dropped one of their videos into my recommended videos on YouTube, and it was just a light language. And I sat there and I watched it twice. And oh my gosh, it was like the light switch. Just, okay, it's not there anymore. And I was so at peace, and it just released everything. And I was like, wow, that was really powerful. Also, speaking of light language, no, I'll save that for a different video. I'll make a whole video on it. But anyways, if you don't know what light language is, just look it up. There's lots of videos on YouTube explaining what it is. But it's very healing to listen to. I think I'm going to sum it up there, guys. So I'm going to put a list of everyone, my favorite YouTubers down below, and a description of what they touch on. I really hope that you check them out, because they've helped me along the way. And if you resonate with me, then you might resonate with who I resonate with, because maybe we're all part of the soul family, or the same soul family. Like, you never know. Or maybe we're resonating on the same vibration. But either way, your choice if you want to check that out. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Everything is Kelsey Franks. I'm very easy to find on there. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and that you get through this ascension using your intuition, flowing with the universe, and you don't get through your ascension kicking and screaming, because we're all ascending. We're all ascending. It's up to you if you go through it in a smooth way, or if you refuse to address your shadow side and you go kicking and screaming, because the universe is pulling you through regardless. It is what it is. So I hope you guys resonated with this message, and I look forward to speaking to you again.